Over to Matthew, who's General Manager at Swapcard. He will share his screen and demonstrate the functionality of the platform for you all. But first of all, I'd like to talk you through some of the reasons why we chose Swapcard as our partner. At Informatech, we're well aware that virtual events are not the same as physical events. And so rather than focusing on completely replicating the previously planned physical events directly into a virtual environment, we've opted to start again and build something new that is optimized for the online world. Our choice of Swapcard as a platform reflects this. So you will shortly see that Swapcard is not a platform that tries to recreate a conference center, but instead the interface is more like a social network, meaning it's an intuitive way to consume content and connect with industry colleagues. While the virtual event is different to the usual physical offering, it's still developed around the 4 core principles for our audience: thought leadership, lead generation, networking, and brand awareness. And in addition to this, we've built the event around 4 core themes: 5G and wholesale, digital, eSIM, and IoT connectivity. One of the biggest differences you'll notice in the virtual environment lies in the programming. We'll have content running over 3 days, and all the content has been programmed in line with research about attention spans and virtual content engagement. So this means you will see and be able to take part in some new formats specifically tailored to the virtual environment. Formats such as Ask the Analyst and Meet the Speaker sessions, expert roundtables, speaker interviews, Dragon's Den, as well as live polling with the more traditional panel discussions and addresses. The content will run between roughly 10:30 a.m. to 4:30 and 5 every day, with 10-minute breaks between each session and 2 one-hour networking slots as well to make sure engagement rates remain high across the whole event. The second key difference in the virtual environment is around lead generation. Swapcard has a unique AI-driven networking capability which will be used to match attendees with other attendees and exhibitors, as well as providing session recommendations, all of which are based on your preferences. The networking capabilities of the platform allow for both audio and video within the platform, both one-to-one and one-to-4 basis. This means there's no need to leave the platform for meetings and provides us with the ability to deliver a unique level of insights about the meeting numbers and engagements within the platform. We are also able to set up closed groups of up to 50 people, which we will use for specific networking sessions that I mentioned earlier. We will still be running our VIP meeting service, so we can book requested meetings directly on the platform for our clients. And whilst we don't have signage in the physical sense, the Swapcard platform does have a number of branding placement opportunities, which are great for brand awareness and driving traffic. All of these will be pointed out during the demonstration. So when will it all be available? We are building the event right now, and the aim is to open the platform to sponsors and exhibitors 4 weeks before the MVNOs World Congress event, and likewise for MVNOs Asia. So there'll be plenty of time for you to get familiar and build your pages. So without further ado, I'd now like to hand over to Matthew, who will share his screen and demo the platform for you all. And as mentioned, if you guys have questions, you can go and put them through the chat function or wait and ask them face to face after the demonstration. I'll now hand over to Matthew.
Yeah, thanks, Christopher. Hi, everybody. I'm Matthew Donegan-Ryan with Swapcard. I'm excited to show you the platform today. As Christopher said, if you have questions during the presentation, just type them into the chat. Christopher will jump in and kind of interrupt me when questions come up that he wants me to answer now, and then the rest of the questions we'll take towards the end of the presentation. So I'm going to show you how an attendee will use the platform to interact with you and your content and your virtual booth. And then I'll also show how you as the exhibitor can find attendees that you want to connect with, as well as manage your booth. So I'm going to switch over here. You should see on the left-hand side my browser window. This is the app running on my laptop, and then on the right you'll see the app running on my iPhone. We do make the app available as a mobile app as well as a native app. And I'm going to concentrate on the mobile app today, or sorry, on the web app today, as this is how most of the people are going to use the platform. So right now I'm at the home page. This is what attendees first see, what they land on when they access the platform. In Swapcard, we break the platform into 3 columns on most pages. So on the left here is my personal information. And then as a virtual exhibitor, you're going to have your company's information here that you can edit. On the right is an advertisement that I'm going to explain in a moment. And then in the center are the main features of the application. So we'll start with my information. So this is me as a person, either the attendee or you as the booth manager or booth staff. You'll be able to edit your profile. This is what other attendees will see when they tap on your profile. You'll be able to add interests and keywords and biography and social media. All of this information becomes an input into our AI that Christopher mentioned. We have several inputs into the AI, including the attendees' behavior within the application. So we look at what sessions the attendees write, or attend, what comments they write on the sessions, what other attendees they connect with, which speakers they favorite, and things like that. And we use all of that information to recommend the attendees to you as an exhibitor. And so when you look at the attendee list, you're going to see the attendees ranked in order of the ones that our system thinks are going to be the best fit for your products and services. Below that is your company information. And after I show you the attendee experience, I'll come back and show you how you can edit the company information. The column on the right, this is an advertisement opportunity. So you could purchase this ad. We're going to have a series of ads. Every time an attendee loads the page, there'll be a different ad displayed to them. And we can also do some targeted ads to specific groups of attendees if needed. These ads will have a call to action. So in this example, we have a learn more button, and this will link the person to access, in this example, the podcast that we're promoting here. For you, we can link to either your exhibitor booth, so you can have an ad trying to encourage people to visit your booth. We could link somebody to one of your websites, or we could link somebody to one of the sessions that you may be hosting. So if you're hosting a product showcase or a company showcase session or a content session, we can have an ad pushing people to those sessions. And then you'll get reports on the number of impressions and the number of click-throughs from those ads. In the center of the screen, we have our session theater. So during the live event, this will show the session that's currently playing. Before the event, we'll also show, a welcome message. We may show some advertisement videos there as well. Below that, we have the main features of the application, and I'm going to walk through a bunch of these today. Also, below the list of features. Sorry, I clicked on the on the wrong thing here. Let me switch back. Below the list of features, we have a list of the sponsors. So depending on the sponsor level, we're going to show our largest sponsors at the top with larger logos, and then further down, we'll show the remainder of the sponsors. So today I'm going to start with the schedule. Then I'm going to jump into the sponsor booth, and then I'm going to jump into how to find attendees. So I'm going to look at the schedule here. This is an attendees view. If they want to research sessions, they can click through and read all about the sessions. If any of the sessions are live at this moment in time, they'll have a little live button showing them the progress of the session, so the attendee can jump into that. Attendee can search for a specific topic or a specific sponsor of a session or a speaker or something like that. You'll notice with all of these sessions, we're highlighting the sponsor logos of the companies that are sponsoring these sessions. So it's easy for me to, as an attendee, to find out who's sponsoring the session. And if I tap on a sponsor logo, it will bring me to that sponsor's virtual booth. So now I've opened up a session. Again, we have this 3-column layout. On the left-hand side, we're showing all of the recommended sessions. This is our AI kicking in. So our AI is saying, hey, if you like this session, you may also like these other sessions. On the right-hand side, we have our live discussion, our session feedback, our polling, our quizzes, things like that. And I'll come to that in a moment. And then below the session video, we have more information about the session. We have a link to the sponsor of the session, to their virtual booth. We have a link to the speakers. So if you're giving a session and maybe you have, say, one of your engineers presenting, you could have your engineer as the speaker, but then we can have additional booth staff listed here as part of the team or the moderators, and then attendees would easily be able to connect with them. So it'd be easy for you to try and promote and market your company to the attendees. We can also show the attendee list. This list could be public or private. So if you sponsor any sessions or give any product demonstrations, we can give you a list of all of the attendees that attend the session. And then we can also make that list visible if you choose, but it doesn't have to be. So I'm going to view the session in full screen here. This is how most people are going to view a session. You can have, one person speaking or multiple people speaking. You can have a moderator, a panel. The moderator can ask questions to the attendees, just like Christopher is going to ask me questions today. As you're watching the session, either in full screen or in partial screen, you'll notice we have this live discussion on the right-hand side of the screen. So the live discussion includes a few things. One is just a general chat and comments. People can write, comments about your presentation. They can also write questions, and attendees can vote these questions up or down, and you can respond to the questions that you choose, and you'll be able to see whichever questions are the most popular. So if you get lots and lots of questions, it'll be easy for you to choose which ones to answer. We also have polling. So if you want to poll the audience, if you want to if you want to ask them about their buying and purchasing decisions, or the influences they have, or what types of businesses they are, what their budgets are, where they're located, any of those types of questions that would be useful for you to ask the audience, you can do that via polls or quiz questions during your presentation. And the answers to these questions can either be public or private, and you can even create polls on the fly and publish these out. Your sessions, they can either be a live recording, live stream of a video, or it could be a pre-recorded video, or it could be a combination. So a lot of our exhibitors like to make, say, a 10, 20, 30-minute video that's pre-recorded of their content, and then we follow that up by 10, 20 minutes of Q&A. So we'd be happy to do something like that for you. So in a moment, I'm going to leave the attendee section here and jump into a virtual booth. If you have any questions about this streaming of sessions, feel free to ask those now. If not, you can ask them at the end of the presentation. So the last thing I wanted to point out here is when people are writing questions and comments during your session, you can actually click in on their profiles and find out more about those attendees and then request to meet with them. So it's a really easy way for you to see who's currently interested in your products and services, and then you can click over and view more about their profiles. So I'm going to leave the schedule section right here unless there's any questions now.
No, I think we can go and move on to the next section.
Excellent. Okay, thanks, Christopher. So I'm going to jump into the exhibitor's profile right here. You'll notice if I leave the session, the video from the session will actually persist on the page.
Hang on, Matthew. I think we do have a question. Akil, do you have a question? Do you want to unmute?
Yeah, sure. On the actual session itself, you said we could pre-record it. We could pre-record something and have a separate Q&A. If we have one speaker doing that, and there's a Q&A section, can we have the participants answering the questions together with the actual presenter?
Yeah. So anyone who's, say, a presenter or a panelist can be on video answering a question. Anyone else could answer a question via the chat. So let's say you had an engineer presenting and you had a marketing person and a salesperson kind of on the panel with them. Any of those three people could answer the questions. Maybe you have some sales staff or some booth staff. They could just be in the chat and they could be responding directly to the chat. So kind of like this presentation, if you ask a question, Christopher could respond, via the chat to the question, or he could ask the question to me.
Okay, great. And are we logged in differently? So there's a separation between the presenters or the team that can answer the Q&As to the actual attendees.
Yes, so the attendees cannot go on video or audio, only your team. So if you're giving a presentation, you may have one speaker, you may have, 4 or 5 people on a panel, kind of like in this presentation, we have, I think 4 people or so from Informa plus myself. It could be something like that. So you can have some people from your team available to speak, and then some people who are just in the chat. The attendees are only able to participate via text, via chat.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem. We do have another feature, which is a group meeting room, which I'll get into later. And a group meeting room, you could bring attendees up on video. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later. So now I'm in the virtual booth. So this is how an attendee will view your booth and how they'll interact with your company. You'll notice when I left the session over here on the left, the session is still playing. So if somebody's watching your session and they're interested in your company and they click on your booth, they'll come to your virtual booth, but they're not going to miss any of your session because your session will persist here. So, people will still be able to really easily follow you. So when somebody looks at your booth, the first thing they'll see at the top will be a video. So typically this will be a pre-recorded video that will be playing and will start playing whenever someone accesses your booth. You could also make this a live video if you chose, or it could be a live video for a portion of time and a pre-recorded video for another portion of time. Below that, we have the option to schedule a meeting with you. So depending on your sponsor level, you're going to get a certain number of meeting slots each day, and attendees can request meetings with you. You can also request meetings with attendees. So in this example, I'm going to request a meeting. So I'll choose a time slot here for a virtual meeting. I will write my message. So I'll write, let's meet. I'd love to see a product demo. So the attendees will kind of write a little message to you of why they want to meet with you, and this will help you decide if you want to accept the meeting, and when you accept it, which of your booth staff to assign it to, or you may determine that some people are say not qualified, and then you may decide not to actually accept those meetings. So you'll have some options there. On the right-hand side, you see we have this little chat option, so attendees can write messages to you. So this is just a quick one-on-one chat. When they write this message, any of your booth staff will be able to respond as your company, and you'll be able to assign which booth staff can or cannot respond to inbound chat messages. So let's say you have 10 staff assigned to your booth. You could say all 10 of those people could respond to the messages, or maybe 5 of those people could respond to the message. You can also send people documents in the chat. So if you want to send an image, a PDF, something like that, you could do that right inside the application here. So I've got this PDF document that I might want to share in the chat. You could share that document. So it's really easy to share information with the attendees. The attendees can also, read more about your company, click on your social media links. They could see your product and service listings, and I'll get a little bit deeper into this in a moment. And they can see all of your sponsored sessions. So you potentially could have multiple sponsored sessions. You could sponsor one of the content sessions, or you could have your own product showcase session. You can also upload documents to the platform. So let's say you wanted to upload a price sheet or sales collateral or a marketing brochure or a PowerPoint presentation. You can upload any of those types of documents. You can also list your booth staff publicly if you like. You can turn this on or off, but let's say you have 10 salespeople and a couple marketing people and some engineers and a product manager. You could list all of those people, and then attendees could choose to connect with one of those people. You could also have some people associated with your booth that aren't publicly listed. So maybe you have, your booth designer, and your booth designer will have access, but you don't want your booth designer interacting with your sales prospects. So you could have them as part of the booth without being publicly listed if you chose. So this is what your virtual booth will look like. Attendees will find your booth by a couple options. One is by clicking on the icon in the in a session. They can click on your logo and it will take them to your booth. They can also look at the list of all the booths. So right now I'm looking at the list of booths. We're going to sort this list by sponsor level, so our bigger sponsors are going to show up at the top. But attendees can filter these booths by product or service or type or any filter that we choose. And attendees can also search for a booth, so they can type in a name of a company or product or a term, and they can find your booth that way. So that's one way they can find you in the app. Another way is we will create a marketplace. So we're going to create this marketplace listing all the products and services that all of our exhibitors are selling. So depending on your booth package, you'll be able to upload a certain number of products into the application. And then again, attendees will have these filtering options. They could filter down on the products or services they're interested in. So I'll do a, say, filter for event technology here. Now it's going to narrow down the list of products that are available to me. I can tap on the product, and now I can read more about that product. I can see images, I can see descriptions, I can click in to a website, so people can be directed to your website. So if you have a product website or an order page or something like that, they can do that. Or they can click into your virtual booth. You'll notice on the left, again, this is our AI kicking in. So just like when we were looking at sessions, if we accessed one session, the AI was recommending other sessions. We'll do something similar here. So if somebody looks at one of your products, we're going to show them other products that you offer, as well as potentially additional products that they may be interested in as well. So we make it really easy for the attendees to find you. We also make it easy for you to find the attendees. So now I'm going to click on the attendee list. You're going to have access to the list of attendees. Instead of just seeing an alphabetical list of thousands of people, we're going to sort this using our AI. So our AI is going to predict which attendees are going to be the best buyers of your products and services, and we're going to list the attendees in that order. However, you can also, as usual, run filters of the types of people that you want to connect with. So if you're only interested in connecting with people from a certain region, or people in a certain industry, or people with certain titles, you can search for that. You can also search just for companies. So if there's a company that you really want to do business with, so in this example, I'll search for Swapcard. Now it shows me all of the attendees from that company. So we make it really easy for you to find the people in the app that you need to find. We also allow you to add keywords to your profile. So these keywords are going to be used in the matchmaking. So they'll match you to attendees, but they'll also be used to match attendees to you. So put in keywords about the products and services you offer, so it's easier for attendees to find you. You can also make yourself hidden on the list of attendees. So obviously, most of your staff are going to want to be visible, but maybe you have, say, the CEO of your company is going to attend and they don't want to be bombarded with inbound requests. They can make themselves hidden if they chose to. So I'm going to tap on an attendee's profile. So I'm tapping on Kathy's profile here. I can read more about Kathy. I can see her bio. I can see what sessions she's attending. I can see her social media links. I can't see her phone number and her email here, but once I connect with her, I'll be able to see that information. So what I will do here is I've read about Kathy and I decided, you know what, she'd be a good prospect for my company. I'd love to meet with her. So what it's showing me here are times that Kathy is available, plus I, as the exhibitor, am available. So you know these times are mutually available, and you could choose a time to meet with her. So you could say, you know, I'll choose 10:30 time or 11:30 time in this case, and I'll write my message. And so I'll say, you know, I'd love to show you our product. So you write your little message. You want to have some specific details here to make sure that the attendee is more likely to accept your request. So you write your request and then you send it, and then hopefully Kathy will accept it. Once you've connected with several attendees, you'll be able to see all of the attendees that you've connected with. As a individual salesperson or booth staff, you could download your attendees. Later on, I'll show you as the booth manager how you can download all of your leads for all of your staff. I'm going to open up one of my leads here. So this is Adam. This is someone I've connected with. So since I've connected with him, you see it's showing me all of his contact details. So I have his full contact information. I have his name, his bio, his social media links. I can see his lead scoring here. So as a salesperson or booth staff, I can score each of my leads. So if I connect with this person, I can rate them 1 to 5 stars. And then that way, when you download the leads later, you'll know which ones you have the highest priority with. You can also tag your products and services. So if you have a series of products You'll choose which ones you want to sell to this lead, and you'll tag those products to this lead. So it's easier for you to when you're following up. You can also take notes. So, your booth staff are probably going to talk with people that maybe are from, in a different territory or looking for a different product, but your booth staff will still talk to that person. You want that booth staff to leave some detailed notes, so then when your marketing staff export this information later, they have the appropriate notes, and it's easy to, add that person to a marketing campaign and try to sell to them later on. Once you've connected with people, you can send them messages here within the application. I'm looking at Kevin here. Kevin, somebody that I've connected with. I can send him messages here within the application. I can send him documents or images. I can also have a one-on-one call with anyone that I've connected with. So I could start a one-on-one call here with Kevin. It will open up a call. Not only can I share my video, but I could do a screen share as well. So I could do a screen share, and just like I'm using Microsoft Teams here to share my screen with you and be on video, I can share my screen and be on video with an attendee. And we can do this while we watch a session. So let's say I jump back into the session. I could watch a session with one of my colleagues, and we could discuss it on video. I can't share my video on Microsoft Teams and in Swapcard at the same time, so that's why there's no picture coming up here. But this is a great way for a couple of colleagues, maybe two colleagues from the same company are interested in your product and they're watching your product showcase. They could watch it together and they could kind of comment about it as your session is taking place. So we make it really.
Sorry, we just have a question from Sarah.
Yeah.
Hi, Matthew. I just wondered, with the chat that takes place within the app, after the event is finished, can you then download that so you have a history of the conversation you've had?
You don't download the chat, so you download the notes that you write. Most of the conversations happen via video, so the chat is typically, not always, but typically you're setting up a time to speak. It's kind of like when you're marketing your booth to attendees before they come to an in-person trade show. You're giving them enough information to have a meeting with you at your booth. So you can't download like a transcript of the chat. You could certainly pull it out. You could copy it later on. But the valuable information from the attendee is typically the lead scoring, the tagging of the products that you want to sell that person, and the notes that you write.
Cool. How long after the event, or is the platform just accessible for the month before and the 3 days of the event, or do we have access afterwards?
Yeah, so you'll have access to it for a year afterwards. So you can come back in and access any of this information. Also, with the MVNO series, we're doing, if you're sponsoring multiple events, we're doing a series of events in Europe and Asia, and I believe the US. You'll have the same access to the same platform over and over again at multiple events.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take a look at the experience of you as the booth manager? So far I've been showing the experience as an attendee or one of your booth staff. Now we'll switch over to the experience as the booth manager. So I'm going to edit my booth here. When I go to the what we call the Exhibitor portal. When we go to the Exhibitor portal, you're going to see a set of instructions from the Informa team letting you know how to manage your booth. Below that, you're going to see some analytics of your booth. You'll see how many views you've had of your profile, how many people have bookmarked your company, how many contacts or leads you've generated, and the average score of the lead scoring that you've done from those leads. You'll be able to see a preview of your virtual booth, and you'll be able to edit that right in the app. So if you want to add an image or a video or change your description, you'll be able to do all of that right here yourself. You won't need to have the staff from Informa do this. You can manage this yourself. You can also upload any documents, so sales brochures, product prices, PowerPoint presentations, things like that you can add. These can be any type of file. They don't need to be a PDF. You can upload any file you choose. You'll also be able to upload your product and service listings. Depending on your sponsor level, you'll have a certain number of products that you can add. So in this example, I can add 5 products. I've already added 4, so I can add 1 more. We also have this meetings option. So if you remember when I was an attendee and I was looking at the Swapcard booth, I sent a meeting request. Now, as the booth manager, I can respond to that. So Matthew sent a request to meet with Swapcard. We'll take a look at this request. We'll see the reason why this attendee wanted to meet with you. You could tap on the attendee's profile to learn about them, to better qualify them, to decide if you want to accept the request and who you want to assign it to. And then you'll see all your booth staff, and you can choose the appropriate booth staff. So maybe Justine handles the territory that Matthew's in, so I'm going to assign this meeting to Justine. So I'll assign it. Now I'm looking at all of my incoming meetings. So as a manager of your booth, and you can have as many booth managers as you like, you can see all the meetings that all of your booth staff and salespeople have created. And you can reassign any of those meetings or cancel them or change the time or things like that. So you have a lot of control here. You can also access your team's contacts. So right now I'm looking at all of my leads that all of my salespeople have collected combined. So here, I've got 327 leads that I've set up, and I've decided, okay, I want to download these leads so I can follow up with them later. And to repeat the last answer, this will be available for you for 12 months. So I'm going to download this lead list. You'll notice here I downloaded the file. It's an Excel file. It's not a CSV file. So you're not going to have any issues with any type of any type of data that's been corrupted. And it's really easy for you to then upload this into your CRM product or your email marketing product to follow up later on. You can also edit all of your staff. So you can manage all of your booth staff. You can also add additional staff, and then you can give each of your staff different levels of access within the app. So you could show somebody's profile. You could share their contact information if you choose. You could also make some of your booth staff booth managers who would then have access to the platform. So those were all the main features that I wanted to cover today. So I'm going to open it up for any questions that you may have. So if you have questions, you can either type them in the chat or let us know, and we can bring you up on audio, and you can ask your questions now.
No questions from anybody?
We have one here from Patrick. So Patrick, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, hi there. What would a booth look like without a video at the top? Have you got an example of that? Is a video required, or is it just preferred?
No, you could either have an image or you could just have your logo. So here I'll open up one without a video, and so the top just shows the name of the company, the logo. In this example, I have a pending meeting with them. So it would look something like this, but you could have an image. You could also change it. So you could put up an image first, and then you could replace it with a video. And you could also change that video at any time. So you could have maybe an image before the event starts. You could have a live or pre-recorded video during the event. And then after the event, you could have a thank you image or something like that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, good question.
And Akil?
Yeah, in terms of a demonstration, how would a demonstration work? You showed the video conference facility. Is there some sort of desktop sharing facility with that, where a demonstration would happen?
Yeah, so in the video chat, you can do a desktop share. So I'll show you an example of this again. So I'm in the video chat right now. You'll see there's this little kind of monitor icon that says share. Mm-hmm. If you just tap on that, then you can choose, which screen. In this example, I can choose which screen to share. And now I can do a screen share with this person that I'm chatting with. This is a one-to-one video. I can view it in full screen. It's giving me that kind of mirror function. So this is a one-to-one video. One thing I didn't really get into, but we do have the option of having a group meeting room where you could have up to 50 people in the room and up to 12 people on camera, and you could do a screen share that way as well.
So how would that work from a, so let's say you had 2 or 3 people come to your booth at any one time. How would you go off and just schedule, say, right, why don't we get 3 or 4 attendees together and do a demonstration?
Yeah, so there's 2 ways you could do it. If it was a single person, and somebody chats with you. So let's say I'll go back to our booth here. Let me open up the booth again. So let's say I'm going to hang up this video and hang up this session. So if somebody comes to your booth and they just start chatting with you here on the chat on the right, you can just click on their profile and call them. So someone starts chatting with you and you can say, hey, do you want to jump into a video call? And you can just do a video call on demand right there. It will start a new meeting room and you'll have that one-on-one call. If it's a group video, so say it's a company with 4 people and they all want to see a demo right away, you can give them you can just put in the link to your group meeting room, and then they can all jump into the group meeting room and view a interactive presentation with you. These sponsored sessions, you could have a pre-recorded demo in a sponsored session and say, hey, jump into the pre-recorded demo, and then they could watch the video demo. And while they're watching the video demo, you could either have a one-on-one video call with them, or they could ask questions in the chat. So they'll be watching the video like you see here, and they could ask questions in the chat, and you could answer those questions live, or you could have a one-on-one call with them again while the pre-recorded demo is taking place.
So could you, if we had 2 visitors to a booth, they can both have their individual separate discussions. So let's say we had 2 sales staff on our booth, and we wanted 2 separate conversations to happen. Can they still do that? One sales staff going off to a virtual discussion while the other sales staff goes and speaks to another virtual session?
Correct. So this chat that you see on the right,
yeah,
this is a one attendee to all of your booth staff chat. So if 5 people come in at once and they all start chatting, that's 5 separate chats. And okay. So and any of your booth staff can respond. So if I look at my chat page here, I can respond either as myself or I could respond as my company. So if I switch over to my company, and now I'm responding as my company. These are all my inbound chats. So you can see I've got a half dozen people here chatting with me. So like Julian sent a message and I could write, hi, would you like to see a live demo? And I write that message and Julian says yes. And then I could video chat Julian right here inside the app.
Okay.
Or I could say, maybe, Andrea has sent some messages. I could say, please, join our group meeting room. And then I could type in the link. I could paste in the link to it, or I could paste in a link to view our live demo, or sorry, not live, but pre-recorded demo. And I could chat with them, with this person, either video or by text as they're watching the pre-recorded demo.
Okay, great.
Okay, and if that answers your questions, Akhil, then I think we can move on to Francisco.
Yep, it does. Yep.
Great.
Hi, Matthew. Yeah, just a quick question. Back to the booth. If we have different many videos for different topics, how will that work to someone arriving into the booth and seeing those three?
Yeah, so you'll have one video at the top, and so this will be your primary video. So if you have, let's say you have 5 different topics you want to present about, the video at the top, you'll probably want to make that kind of a preview of the 5 topics. You could say, welcome to our company booth. We'd love for you to learn about one of these 5 topics. Click on the topics below or something like that. And then maybe you do like a 30-second summary of each topic. So that's what your main video could be. And then down below, we're in this example, we've got all of these sponsored sessions. So you could have one session for each topic. Somebody clicks on the session, and now they can get more details about this topic and view the video for that specific topic.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Yeah, Akil, do you want to go ahead?
We're going to have another session to take our sales team through this, just to explain the features somehow or another, so that they know how to navigate and ask their own questions as well.
Yeah, we're happy to do kind of a training session, maybe a week or two before the event to walk them through that. We're also recording this session, so you're welcome to share the recording with your sales staff.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, ideally, if we are, did you say 4 weeks before this goes live, we will get access to start setting up our content, setting it up, and then give our sales team access to get familiar with it, and then maybe fine tune them on things they can do.
So it's okay if I jump in here. So yeah, the sponsors and exhibitors get access 4 weeks prior to the event, and the attendees will get access 2 weeks before the event. So there'll be that 2-week window beforehand, so you guys can get used to it, set it all up, and make sure you're ready and comfortable with it.
Okay. I mean, I have a follow-on question. Is the Asia event going to be done the same way as this event? Does it make sense to move that event back a bit, because they're just too close to each other, right?
It's funny you should bring that up, Akil. Yes, we are currently in the process of moving the Asia event further back into October. So I'd anticipate it being, what are we looking at the moment, Chris? Week 3, 19th, 20th?
Yeah, week 3 or week 4 of October.
Okay. So we'll chat about it later. Okay.
Yeah, no worries. But I mean, you're right to bring it up. Any other questions from anybody? Here we go, Sarah. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Hiya, this isn't necessarily a question about Swapcard specifically, but more a question around how you see numbers and exhibitor numbers comparing to the live event, because obviously this is a different format. So yes. Have you got any I mean, I know it's very difficult to say, so it's a bit of a tricky question, but have you done any modelling, or have you got any expectations around how it will compare?
Yeah, we have. I mean, the early indications that we have from the virtual events that we've run at the moment is that registration is way up on registration for physical events. We ran a 5G event for the MENA market, which would normally be a physical event in Dubai a couple of weeks ago, and that would normally be a 200-person event physically. It was a 400-person event virtually, with the majority of the increase in delegates being from operators. We're not claiming that for the MVNO event because, as you say, we can't at this stage, at least. We've got a sample delegate list of the people that we already have registered, which runs to a number of pages. I'm not sure exactly how many people are on there, but 150, 200 at the moment. And what we're saying at the moment is that we're confident of supplying at this event virtually an audience of the same size and breakdown in terms of operators that you would have had at the physical event. Obviously, as we get closer to the time, if that increases, then we'll certainly let you know. But for now, what we're promising is the same audience that you would have had at the physical event, and we're confident of supplying that. So that would be between 700 and 800 people, and around 250 individual MVNO brands.
Okay, great, thank you.
So we have a question in the chat. So the question's around data. So hold on. So in South Africa, the cost of data is a major consideration, let alone when it comes to conferences. Has this been a problem before? And how do you suggest we go about making attending an event an accessible experience? So Matthew, I'm not sure if that's a question which you can answer or one for us.
Yeah, is that about the bandwidth, that it's just expensive to access like to access, say, video content? I don't.
Yeah, coming from South Africa, that will be the case, I'm sure. So thanks for bringing that up, Samanga.
So I think go on, Matthew. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to say, so I don't know what the costs are. I'm sure it is more expensive to access data. The thing about Swapcard is the video content is obviously going to require larger bandwidth than the rest of the content in the application. The bandwidth, we're running these videos on platforms like YouTube and Vimeo, and so if the attendees are from South Africa or the exhibitor, if they access platforms like YouTube and they can do that and it's not overly expensive, it's going to be the same in Swapcard, or very similar. If they can't, or not necessarily can't, but if it's too expensive for them to use websites like that, then I'm sure it would be similar with Swapcard. The nice thing about platforms like YouTube is they restrict the image quality in places that have slower bandwidth. So if somebody is calling in from a place that has lower bandwidth and they're not they don't have very good internet connection, we're not going to send them a high 4K or HD video. They're going to be viewing a standard definition video automatically. So that will reduce the bandwidth requirements a little bit. But I think the bottom line is if the person can access YouTube, they're going to be able to use Swapcard just fine. If they cannot, then yes, I imagine it might be an issue for that person.
Okay. Akhil, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, and so just checking on the lead side. So leads are effectively whenever we connect to a person on that list, in the thing. That's the main source of lead generation there, right?
Yeah, either whenever you schedule a one-on-one meeting, you have a one-on-one chat, or you send a connection request, or the inverse of that. Anytime somebody sends a request to you. Those are when leads are generated automatically. Then maybe Christopher can comment. I believe we also share leads of whoever watches your sessions and possibly whoever visits your booth or visits your product listings. But Christopher, you can correct that's wrong.
Yeah, that's right. So there's obviously those lead generation capabilities around the meetings, but also if you're taking up a presentation, you'll get access to those who viewed the presentation, and also clicks as well to digital resources and downloads.
And what about the booth visitors?
Yeah, so that would come up, and that would come up whether they through the meeting or whether it's downloading the digital resources, or things like that. If it's actually just clicking on the booth, I can double check and get back to you on that. Is that a capability with Swapcard, Matthew?
Yes, so we give that information to Informa. So Christopher, would depend on kind of on your privacy policy of whether you share that with the booth or not.
I mean, currently what we're saying about data is that we will supply you with the analysis of the data of people that visit your presentation, people that visit your booth, providing they haven't opted out when they registered. So from that point of view, you would get the contact details of people that look at your booth as well as the people that interact with you. Does that answer your question, Akhil?
Yes, but if someone's opted out, but we've had a one-to-one meeting with them, we should be able to get that data, shouldn't we?
Yes, you will, but you'll have to ask them for it directly, right? Because we can't supply it because they've opted out.
And can we tell, is there any indication on the person that they've opted out? So we do ask them for it.
So I can answer that. So When somebody registers, there'll be a general question asking them if they opt in to share their information with all of the booths, all of the exhibitors. But when you do a one-on-one connection, there's a secondary request. So like if somebody sends you a request or you send somebody a request, this little bell icon up here, they will receive a notification and it will tell them, let's say Intel has sent you a connection request. Would you like to accept it? And they say yes or no. And if they say yes, then it triggers the connection. So there'll be a one-on-one opt-in for every connection request you send. So any person you connect with, there'll be an opt-in. Any person who connects with you, that's them opting in to connect with you.
Okay, so a connection drives an opt-in and therefore we'll get that lead data.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple of minutes left. Any other questions for Matthew, me, or Rish? Give it a half a minute or so. Okay, if there are no further questions, I think we can leave it there. If there are any questions around the platform or any questions around the packages, you can contact Rish, who the majority of you know. We will go and also follow up with access to the video and so on. So yeah, unless there's any other questions, I think we can leave it there for now. Rish, do you have anything to add?
No, just thanks everybody for joining. If you've got any individual questions that you want to ask me outside of this call, then obviously feel free. You've all got my contact details, I think, on the invitations that were sent, and many of you know me already anyway. So I'll be delighted to answer them another time if something occurs to you afterwards. Don't hesitate to get in touch. Thanks very much,
Great,
Matthew,
thank you.
for taking us through it.
Thanks, Matthew, as well. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.